Good morning. Um, just a quick thought, and especially August being our last month, and just it being a month for us to not make any drastic changes. But besides that, with this Lionsgate season or phase that we're going through, if you don't know Lionsgate, please do research. So it's a time for you to speak on what you allow and what you don't allow for yourself, especially because we are in our 11th month as per our African calendar, um, which is more circular, right? Not linear. So, and it's seasonal. So it makes sense that August is the last month or it's the last season before the new year because the next season will be blooming season, which would be spring. Um, so I've been suffering from migraines since the age of 10. I've had issues with migraines since the age of 10. Um, and over time, obviously they've gotten worse or they just they've just had a life of their own. And last month I had to go away to go and sort them out. And I won't lie, because I was in a different environment. I was away in the rurals. I was in Bulukwane for I think 2 weeks. And I was just doing some stuff there to also help with my journey and with the ailment that come with the migraines. So I was better. According to me, I was healed, right? And then I came back to Alex. And I think from 5 days ago, yeah, because it's going to be a week since I've been back, the headaches are now more persistent, right? And so it's also been a lesson for me to actually make the changes that I've been thinking of making for my own health and for my own well-being. I look for the past 3 years, I have made some significant changes in my diet, but I still had those few things to really get rid of. So I still had those things, a few things to get rid of. One being coffee, because I love coffee. And funny enough, there's a doctor that even suggested coffee as being something that's helpful to help with migraines when I started seeing doctors because of my migraines. And this was maybe 6 years ago. And sometimes, yes, coffee does help. But it's been coffee. Another thing that I've been working on letting go has been meat. So I have avoided red meat for the longest time. So if I have red meat, I'd have like one serving of it a week. Otherwise, red meat isn't my first option anymore. Chicken has been my main meat. But then also, as a person, you learn to know yourself. There's that voice inside that tells you that you need to stop with this shit, especially with the type of meat that we've been seeing out there, or that we are buying, or the meat that's been offered to us to buy. It's just crazy. So there's a difference in that someone has had since a chickling, and then they feeding it what they want to feed it, and then when we eat that chicken it tastes better. Or even the meat of an animal that's been raised in the family yard or kral, and we eat it for a ceremony or celebration, it tastes very different. So there's a reason and season for everything, right? However, these are the changes that I've had to make. So I've had to let go, even including weed too. It's something I haven't smoked weed in what? The last time I smoked weed was when I shot the last video. I think that's a week ago. And I don't miss these things. I really don't. So these are the changes that I've made for myself. And also because God has also been speaking to me to speak up about my food journey and food being a ritual. And that's what I'm pushing more in my videos and sharing my recipes as a chef. Also to share my personal experience. So in all my videos and all my work, it's personal experiences. So I'm just sharing my personal experiences. So with food, I had 3 years ago had to fall back in love with food and understand what food means for me and what it does for me. So this is me just sharing that experience to others who wish to change their diet or look after themselves better, but without the pressure of feeling that you need to go fully vegan or vegetarian or whatever is going on out there as a trend. But each to their own. You need to eat according to what serves you better and what feels good to your body. So these changes that I am making are for my own well-being and what my intuition is telling me to do. But the reason why I'm sharing this video, just to go back to the season that we're in now, and August being what it is, and Lionsgate speaking out what we don't want, welcoming in what we do want to stay, right? And also after preparing my manifestation board or manifestation list, and this is something, these are the things that I want, the things that I'm attracting for myself. Um, for the next couple of years, these are the things that I truly, truly want, the life that I want for myself. So after doing my manifestation list a week ago, I looked at it because for the full moon ritual, I didn't do the release ritual this time. Because also I believe these are things that you should do and you feel you need to do them. Otherwise, just chill. If you don't feel that you need to do a ritual for the new or full moon, because sometimes you can just end up doing things without being conscious of what you're doing, just doing them because you have to be aware of what you're saying you're releasing and what you're saying you're welcoming. So you need to keep working on that for the next 30 days until the next list. So, anyways, I didn't do anything for the full moon and I was still away, anyways. And then when I came back, I had the time, I had the space just to do my manifestation list. And also in me understanding the season that I am currently in my life. Despite the things that I want or the things that I wish to achieve and attain. So now, with that being said, there's a lot of thought on me questioning my relations, family relations, and just accepting things for what they are. For example, like um, some relationships in family, like we think we are bound to them forever. Like we must just allow things to be the way they are because, yeah, we have that line, ah, it's family. What can you say? It's family. What can you say? Um, and me growing up in a family of three kids, three siblings, and being the middle child and being the only girl, I've come to really understand and realize how that fucked me up, being the only girl. And hence, I've had to work through me accepting myself as a female. And I've had conversations with my dad where I'm like, where I had to confront him or just speak to him and say, you almost made me forget that I was a girl because you were just being a dad and protecting me, I guess. But to some extent, for the biggest part of my life, I forgot that I was a woman, and I approached life um, as one of the boys, and also to my own detriment somehow. Also to my own detriment. On my mother's side, which was the side that I was closer to growing up, I'm the only girl. I'm the only girl from my mother's siblings. I am the only girl from my mom because my mom has or had my grandmother had 4 kids. So her firstborn has passed. He had a son. Then it was my aunt. She has 2 boys, and then it was my mom with 2 boys, 1 girl, being me. And then it was my uncle. He has 1 son. So I'm still the only girl. Paternal side, yeah, there are girls, but we're not that close. And that's also a family relation where I had to question it and sit down, and because we tried so hard to keep the units together. And I gave myself the role of being the bigger sister because I am the oldest right now who is involved. We have an older female cousin, but she's not as close. She's not as involved. I gave myself the role of being the bigger sister, right? But then I had to sit down one day and say, but is this really serving me? Is it serving me being the bigger sister? What am I getting out of it? Because sometimes you the one who's doing all the work. Sometimes you have to sit down and ask yourself the question, if I don't check on these people, will they check on me? Like at random, just to check if I'm okay. Because sometimes some people, that's the other thing. Just because you are surrounded by people who did not have the same family structure that you have, in their heads, they think you better than them. In their heads, they think they need you more than you need them. In their heads, they think you don't have any problems in life because both your parents were involved, or you grew up with a mom and dad who are married and still are married, and they've still been together. In their heads, they think you are exempt from having your own life problems, that you have everything going well for you, that you don't deserve to be checked up because you're not at a loss, or you're not feeling the brunt of the dysfunction that's coming from our paternal family structure. And I had to sit down and I had to remove myself from certain things where I was like, no, this is not serving me. Because those same people who need a family bond when it suits them, they are the most nonchalant people ever. Because at the end of the day, people are minding their own business, and rightfully so. They have their own lives to live because of the life that they've chosen for themselves, or the cause that life has dealt to them. And you can't blame people for that, right? You can't blame people for not thinking and seeing things the way that you are, or not having the same compassion that you have. And I had to wake up and say, Mama, do you? And I had to unapologetically remove myself from that. And the way things are, God and the universe, they also somehow structured things for me in a way that really removed me from that responsibility of being the older sister, or being the big sister who's there for everyone and who's trying to, kill or rid the poison of our parents, who to this day don't really have good relationships. So we were trying very hard to keep that relation going, thinking for our kids. But then I have to sit down and be like, is this really what's happening? And yes, to a certain extent it does, but only when it suits us. Only when it suits us. But for what I think it should be, it wasn't serving me. Maybe for others, it is what they want, because we all, fibered differently. We all patterned differently and fabricked differently. So I had to accept that. And I had to accept that, nah, this is not what I want. This is not what's working for me. And I really can go the rest of my life without trying to have this type of connection or relation. And I really don't give a fuck what anyone else thinks about it. Because this is still my life. This is still my experience. And there's still a lot about me that comes from that family relation that I can hold as a grudge, or things that happened in the past that I don't, they still don't know. I don't bring it up. There's a lot that I don't bring up that I'm still kind of working through. There's still a lot that I don't bring up, but people wear their pains on their sleeves. And I've been that bigger sister to make them feel like, no, this is what's happened. No, don't, but not sharing my own, right? And I have to come to a realization that, no, man, fuck it. I'm not about this shit. I am not about, because I had to look at what it's doing for me and how it's really still affecting me and how I've chosen to deal with it. So I've chosen to deal with it because my paternal grandmother has passed. So I've dealt with it in a spiritual sense, in forgiving a lot of things that have happened, right? And forgiving her for the things that she's done. And just moving on in that light. So if I'm okay with her in spirit, then I don't feel I should be responsible for anyone else who's not responsible for me, because everyone is responsible for themselves. Now, with that being said, going back to me sharing how I realized growing up with boys has fucked me up. I had to be a guy. For the most part of my life, I had to be a boy. And it wasn't a typical thing where, you have girls who grew up with brothers. And, if anything goes wrong, your brothers are going to be there and fight for you. And, that thing, but I grew up just fighting my own battles from a young age. My uncles and aunts, my paternal uncles and aunts, because when I was young, I was more in the paternal side. If I got into a fight and I come back crying, they'd send me back. So I had that thing with me until. And also because my brothers are very different to me. They're not as confrontational as I am. But then I just always carried that thing of fighting my own battles on my own, right? And yes, each to their own too. It wasn't for them to come and fight my shit for me. But I really navigated life. I had to think about it. I realized this. I navigated my life or through life alone. I had to be my own brother. I had to be my own sister because I don't have a sister either. I've never had a bigger sister figure in my life. And not that we need that, because that's just how it is. Like, some people are born without siblings. Some people are born with just brothers. Some people are born with just sisters. Because that's just how life is. We are each here to like live our own lives on our own. Like, just to be on our own. Like, you are here to live your own life. It's not about your mother or father. It's not about your siblings. And I had to come to that big realization that even with me knowing that I've navigated myself on my own without feeling that I had the support, or should I say the pillaring of my brothers, I still and like the roles that there are some roles that we give ourselves, but sometimes these roles we end up just sticking to ourselves because being the only girl, if you understand, kwena gadi ke nna gadi, o gola abantu ba botsa no mara kwena gadi kwena o gola abantu ba botsa ntho ba botsa, and you leave room for people to just come and exercise that role on you when it suits them. So people can easily come and say gadi, but I can't go to people and say malume. I can't go to people and give them that responsibility and role and say malume, because they've never opened themselves up that way. But the reason why people can come and keep reminding me that Khadi, and I felt that I need to step up as Khadi, the older sister, the matriarch. The matriarch. Because in years from I am the matriarch. Even in my last Bolokwane trip, I was reminded of that. And funny enough, that I was reminded of on my father's side, right? Because my father's side, and we're with other family members, and I was reminded right? Yet again. So I'm the matriarch, but to what extent? To what extent? And for me to be a matriarch, because people can go on with their lives and then they can call you when they need you. They can call you when they need you. People can forget you are the chosen one in the family, you're the one with the gift. They can carry on in their lives and deny it. But when shit hits the fan, they can easily just call you and say, hey, mom, I need you to please, yeah, this is what's going on. Yes, please put me in your prayers. Oh, there's something like this happening for me. Please put me in your prayers. Because they know you are the chosen one. But the rest of the time, you feel the backlash of being the chosen one. Being the chosen one means you are on your fucking own. Being the chosen one doesn't mean you are chosen by the people in your family. You are chosen by God. You are chosen by Badimu, right? So half the time you are on your own. It's just you and your God and your ancestors and your spirit. That's it. That is it. So I had to sit down now and be like, okay, now that I know the type of life that I want for myself. I need to decide how I'm going to navigate myself with all this bullshit that I've been accepting all my life that's been coming from family. Because, I have my own shit that I deal with that I don't even tell people about. Or people don't bother to. Even if people know your struggles, over years there have been times where I'm not working and I have a son and you won't. Okay, so is there anything that I can help you with? Do you need anything? Is there anything that you need? Look, even my phone is shaking. I'm shaking because this is real shit that I'm sharing here. And you wouldn't have people call you, like, even though they know you're going through shit. Even when I was going through domestic issues, domestic violence issues, guys, the shit, like the worst shit that I went through are the loneliest times in my life. And I carried that hurt for the long time and blaming people and saying, yeah, these people were not there for me. And I had to realize one day that, nah, bruh, this is all your life. All the shit that happened, you chose that guy. You made those choices. So you have to deal with it on your own. So I made peace with that. But now, after making peace with that fact, I now have to make the conscious decision of where everyone else stands, where I put everyone else, not where I put myself for people else, for other people, for everyone else. I mean, but where I am putting myself as Khadi. It's not these human beings who decided. It was God who decided that I'm gonna be born the only girl. I'm gonna be born the chosen one with this task, the spiritual task. And not for my family, but for the people who really need me. We also make the misconception of thinking that because you're the chosen one, you are there to fix family problems. No, you are there to be a vessel for people who need you. The pains that I went through, the traumas that I went through, are for other people who went through those things for me to come and heal. So that's why I had to go through these things alone. That's why I had to deal with things alone. So the detriment of growing up a girl who was a boy, it wasn't, and I realized that I wasn't a tomboy because I grew up around boys. I was a tomboy because I had to be. I had to also be a boy. Like, no one gave a fuck. No one gave a fuck. Like, no one cared. I was never treated like that. Ngwanyana, ing. And also me being me, I don't want to be boxed. I never wanted to be boxed from a young age. So I still acted that way. And that's how I was fired. That's how God created me, because I needed to have my own back. There was no room for me to say I have brothers. There was no room for me to say I have brothers, like, at all. To a point where my family isn't my first go-to if I have an issue. My parents, including my parents or my brothers or my cousins, they're not my first go-to if I have any issues. They're not. And with God's grace, I've been blessed over the years. I've been blessed with people who have really looked after me, like, as brothers, as, like the male figures that I wanted. My dad is still playing his role as my dad. I'm not taking anything away from my dad. I actually think he's an amazing dad. But having that, that brotherly love and protection that I've always lacked, God has always blessed me with that over the years. Like the struggles that I went through that even my brothers don't know about, I've been helped over time by other men that I considered friends. Some were just strangers, but I've always just had people having my back. So now, because we are letting go and letting in the 11th month of the year, or of our calendar as Africans, I had to sit down and say, nah, I'm not allowing this anymore. I'm not allowing that anymore. Like, this stuff that I'm not allowing anymore. Like, yes, I do have brothers. Yes, I do have these people in relation, but they're not my responsibility. I'm not their responsibility, same as they're not my responsibility. So I cannot hold them accountable for me. So they shouldn't hold me accountable for them. I had to let go of that. I had to make peace with that reality. That yes, we are born of the same womb or from the same womb, but different placentas, right? It wasn't the same. It wasn't on the same day. Even if we were triplets, we weren't going to be the same. They are born to my parents, not to me. Not to me. So the reason why I'm sharing this video, so going back to the migraines. So this headache was pressing me. Yesterday was the worst. Yesterday was just the absolute worst. And with everything that I can try and complain about, yeah, I didn't have this support. God has blessed me with a partner. That's why we need to build our own families. That's what it's about. We are born into a family, but you need to grow up and then start your own family structure according to your own needs or your own vision and whatnot. So I'm blessed to have a partner who's my best friend, and he's also like my support structure more than I can ask for. So besides that, and him knowing what to do, at right? So I had this headache. I even went to bed. It was better. And then in the wee hours, I felt it coming back. So this morning, I'm like, because I've been slacking on my yoga for a while now. So since my homeschool has gone online, I'm not doing as much yoga anymore because I used to do yoga every day in class with the kiddies, right? So now that it's online and I've been busy with other things, I've just been restructuring myself, like mentally, to be honest. That's what's been going on. And right now my things feel like they're on a standstill, but they're not. It's a season for things to just be chilled, So I'm also chilled. I'm not fighting that. I'm okay with it. So I've been restructuring. So I've been slacking on my yoga. So this morning in bed, I'm like, no man, because every morning I'm up between 6 and half 6. I'm already up and I'm taking my bath. So I was like, no, let me go back to my routine of doing my yoga in the morning. So this morning I went and I did my yoga, and this headache, I could feel it. It was coming, because yesterday was on this side, now it's coming on this side. This fucking migraine. If you know migraines, you know the devil's child, those things, right? So I'm doing my yoga there, and I do my yoga. If you know tap yoga. So I started doing tap yoga as well. As I'm doing my tap yoga, I start talking to this headache, and I'm like, fuck off. Don't come back here. Fuck off. Don't. And I'm feeling it. It's coming because my neck was tense. I had this tension on my neck as I woke up this morning. And if I'd let it be, I'd probably be in bed right now. So I stopped the tap yoga, and I'm telling it to fuck off. I told this headache to fuck off. I finished my yoga session, which was like 20-30 minutes, or maybe 15-20. In the bath too, I was still doing the tap yoga and telling it, go away headache, don't come back. 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 From go away headache, don't come back to fuck off headache, don't come back. Fuck off headache, don't come back. Fuck off headache, don't come back. And I made the conscious decision that whenever I feel it trying to come in, because if you suffer from migraines, at some point it's like it's always lingering. It's always lingering. It's also what other people call a resting headache. It's always just somewhere. So one small thing can trigger it. One small move can trigger the headache. So if I feel it, I made the conscious decision that if I feel this headache trying to come, I'm going to go away headache, don't come back. Go away headache, don't come back. Fuck off headache, don't come back. Fuck off headache, don't come back. Fuck off headache, don't come back. Go away headache, don't come back. All the areas where I can feel it. Go away headache, don't come back. Fuck off headache, don't come back. I'm going to do this every day until the day I feel that it's gone. Even just chilling, I'm just going to keep reminding this headache, go away headache, don't come back. Go away headache. And I'm going to go as far as telling this headache to stay away from my bloodline. Don't go to my kids. Don't go to my kids. Go away headache, don't come back. So, just sitting there today I'm like, it's true. What you allow stays. What you allow stays. So besides me not wanting to allow this headache to stay anymore, because I even had a conversation with my mom yesterday, and I was like, yo, mama, the headaches are back. And she said, it won't go back just automatically, because my mom also suffered from these migraines. But with her, it came later. Like, I started talking to my dad had it as a kid, and my great grandmother healed him. So my mom is like, my dad has never had a headache since, because my great grandmother nailing up a chupe, and she healed him. So my mom it doesn't mean tsamaya just straight away. It tsamaya lo le rona no le nna wa mpone ke na le 62 gona no, and ntse e tla tsamaya wa bona re ntse re kula re fola re o tlo ba right. And I said to her, you know what, ma, I'm not going to accept that. Nah. If it means I need to make the changes in my life to keep her healthy, I'm gonna make those changes. If it means ke tlo tlogela nama, ke tlo itlogela. If it means ke tlogela ntho tse ke di tlogelang, ke tlo di tlogela gore ke be right. I am not going to accept that gore even at 62 tlabe ke bua the way we no buang. No, I'm not going to accept that, because my mom has been very sickly. But now she's gotten better, and I'd like to think I contributed to that. I made a certain sacrifice for that. I had to have a conversation with God about it, and it's like I made a trade-off. Like, okay, for me to have the surgery, this is me taking away the pains that my mom has to suffer of going through more surgeries. This is me saying it's the end of surgeries for my mother. So I had to go through a certain surgery last year. With lumps. I had to remove a lump from one of my breasts. But this was also because the physical represents the spiritual. So that's how I look at things. So it was one of those things. Anyway, and my mom was actually booked to have a surgery sometime last year after me. I think it was going to be July or sometime or August last year. And I said to her before my surgery, I said, you're not going to have any more surgeries in your life. And she hasn't been booked since. So anyways, so I told her, nah, that's not going to be me, fam. Not me, ma, not me. So what we allow stays. What we allow stays. So besides me chasing this headache away, I'm also just in a phase of just not wanting to allow certain dysfunctions that I've allowed in my adult life to be with me anymore. Like there's certain things, and I have healthy relationships with my siblings. Not to say we have beef, but I'm just releasing myself of my responsibility that I felt I had for them or over them. I'm releasing myself of that. I've released myself of that. I've released myself of caring what people think about me, caring what they think about me, getting approval, getting whatever. And I've accepted myself for the life that I want for myself, being different from the lives that they desire for themselves, including the lives that my parents desired for me. Actually, I've relieved myself of the life that my family desired for me. I've finally come to that, of releasing myself of their expectations for me. And over time, in my family, I've been called crazy because I've seemed like very erratic in some decisions that I make. And I am erratic. I mean, I'm a Capricorn, Aquarius cusp child, but I'm not erratic. I've come also to just, people can tell us what we are. Because I'm different. So I had over time to understand, no, I'm not crazy. I just don't like being told who I am. The worst thing you can do is come and try and tell me who I am. Don't come and tell me who I am. And I've always just had my own ideas in my head of who I want to be. So obviously they're gonna seem like wahlanya. And also I'm a very sensitive person. As forthcoming as I am, I'm very sensitive, meaning I pick up on a lot of things. So even as a kid, with the wrongs that would be going on, I'd pick them up more than anyone, and I'd actually act against them um subconsciously without being aware. And that's to the people outside make it seem like gahlanya, because I'll be the one who says, fuck that shit, or not entertain that, or just be against it, or just not go with that flow, that because something in me is like, eh. So I've come to really just accept myself for myself according to my ideals and my purpose. So that's why it's important to know what your purpose is. That's where you know how to box yourself, and you reach a point of life where you actually eradicate everything that stood as who you were, and you recreating and restructuring, you rewriting, you re-elaborating, um you re-singing, reverbing everything that you want, that you are, and that you were told you were. So this is me just sharing that what we allow stays. Definitely what we allow stays. So yes, ke but according to my terms. Really according to my terms. Really according to my fucking terms. And I'm now seeing myself as someone who's sitting on the top of a mountain, and I won't allow for anyone to come up and even have my energy, or have my time, or even have um my attention. It will have to take them a long time to walk up that mountain to reach me. And obviously from afar as well, and a lot of times people have come and projected their own feelings about themselves on me. They would just leave me feeling like shit. Muthu awusukele nje athi ahlobisa amasipha. And then if you react, you are called crazy or emotional or this. Mawusuketse. That's what I love about who I am. Like, kayithulela no. I don't really, guys. Me, I don't bother people. I don't bother people. Me, I don't bother people. Especially after making the conscious decision some years ago, I'm not going to focus on the adults in the family. I'd rather just give my time to the kids in the family. And even with that, there's a certain point where I stopped. I don't care about other people's kids. I mean, the same way you would call and check on people's kids, no one calls and checks up on my child. No one does that. When as Khadi, you want to care about other people's kids, but you have to sit down and say, does anyone else care about my child? So the reality of family is we are born into families, not born to be responsible for those families. That's it. And we are born into families to learn ourselves more than anything. So, as the Bible says, or as the word says, the spoken word, even if it's not in the Bible, it's the true African word. You need to respect your parents. Respect your parents and honor them. And I've been doing that. And I've dedicated myself to doing that. And I've done that with so much grace and so much um tact that my parents have come to understand the things that I accept and the things that I don't accept. That's the truth. And that's the only relation that, to be honest, I really care about right now. And I'm really bothered to allow. That's the only true relation that I'm bothered to allow. And again, it's not me saying I have ill relation with my siblings, but the reality is every man is out here for himself, guys. Each to their own. Each man out for themselves. Like, hey, you don't have people out there speaking highly of you and selling and promoting you. So they're just like any other person. They're human beings. So they're human beings. Give out to Bona. So stop feeling responsible for people who are not responsible for you. This is me just whatever issues you're having with your siblings, family, whatever. This is me just reminding you. And if your family, your parents are toxic, cut them off if you have to. But I'm adult enough to have come to forgiving my parents. I mean they're human, but my parents have done their best. I appreciate my parents so much. I really do. So those are the only people that I really have the space to care for right now. And I have love for my siblings and other cousins. And if you are watching this, I love you. I love you. Mara tla kopana o tshwantse re kopane, guys. Because hey, the reality is life. So we must stop fucking around. And I am not here for anyone. I'm not khadi to be used. I'm not here to be used. Now what I'm actually offering myself as is a servant of my purpose to those who need me. And these are not of my kin, because your tribe finds you. You are not born into your tribe in most cases. And I'm on my path of finding my tribe, and I've been, meeting people who are my tribe, and temporary or not, it's been going well. So what you allow stays. What you allow stays. Use the last bits of this month to determine the rest of your life, guys. Go away, headache. Don't come back. People are headaches in our lives. People are headaches in our lives, guys. The people in our lives, they're the ones who are headaches. So, go away, headache. Don't come back. What you allow stays. And, distance yourself with love too. Don't fight. I'm not fighting. I don't have any animosity. But this is me coming to accepting. Okay. It is what it is. You have to sit down as Motushebe, past things that were done. Ushebe mandilo, ushebe man track record of things. Like, no, this person has proved gore. So you must act accordingly. I always preach that. And so I'm sharing this and being a bit more personal to show gore. The things that I'm sharing, I'm not just sharing because they sound good. I am not all about kumbaya and shit. I'm a very realistic person. So in my being realistic is me also sharing my story. And saying you're on your own. Create your own paradise with whoever belongs, whoever wants to be part of your paradise. The people who want to be part of your paradise will show you. They'll show you without fail. They'll show you without doubt or question. They will show you without doubt or question. And I know my parents have shown me that. Even with their faults, they've shown me that so many times. Like this whole thing, I thought it takes a village to raise a child. My parents have been that village for me. I'm not taking that away from them. They have been. Even now, my son is with them. I know my son and my parents best friends by literally so for that also I'm gonna honor that until the day they're gone. But otherwise, anyone else outside of this family that I'm building with my partner and my kids, y'all can go fuck yourselves. So what you allow stays. What you allow stays. Love what loves you. Forget what doesn't. For the sake of family. What you allow stays. So make sure you are building your own structures. Keep what's giving you peace, guys. Please. The headaches that we have, some of the ailments that we have in our bodies are from childhood things that we've been growing up with. Neglect, abandonment, whatever. We need to let go of those things. We need to really sit down and see things for what they really are. And, act accordingly, man. Act accordingly. I've stopped even going to family functions that don't really serve me. I've stopped. Now if I don't want to come to your thing, I don't come. Including funerals. There've been funerals where I've just like, I'm not going there. And you know, I'm even more determined to not attend shit that has nothing to do with me. It really has nothing to do with me. If it's not Masakela, if it's not the family that I'm marrying in now, I am not attending. I'm not attending. And even in my the family that I'm born to, even Masakela, even with that, I have to be smart. I'm not just going to go ahead and get into things that have nothing to do with me. So that I'm gonna act accordingly. Act accordingly, guys. What we allow stays. So make sure you are keeping the things that serve you back. Auntie Makoko out.